Hey there, welcome to a moment of reflection, a chance to sit back, breathe, and think about something we all share our imperfections. Today we're diving into the beauty of imperfection, exploring why embracing our flaws can be one of the most liberating and transformative things we do. This isn't about chasing perfection or hiding what makes us human. It's about celebrating the messy, unique, and wonderfully imperfect parts of ourselves. Let's start with a simple truth. Nobody's perfect. Not you, not me, not the person who seems to have it all together on social media. Perfection is an illusion, a shiny mirage we chase, thinking it'll make us happier, more loved, or more worthy. But here's the thing. Perfection doesn't make us relatable. It doesn't make us real. Our flaws, quirks, and mistakes, those are what make us human, what connect us to one another in a deep and meaningful way. Think about the last time you laughed at a mistake you made. Maybe you spilled coffee on your shirt right before a big meeting, or you said something awkward in a conversation. In that moment, it might have felt embarrassing, but later, didn't it make for a good story? Those little imperfections are the threads that weave the tapestry of our lives. They're the moments that make us laugh, cry, and grow. Without them, life would be flat, like a song with no rhythm or a painting with no texture. Society often tells us to hide our flaws. We're bombarded with images of airbrushed faces, curated lives, and people who seem to have it all figured out on social media. But let's pause for a second and ask, what's so wrong with being imperfect? Why do we feel the need to cover up our scars, our struggles, or the things that make us unique? The truth is, our imperfections are often where our greatest strengths lie. They're the cracks where the light gets in, to borrow a phrase from Leonard Cohen. Let's talk about vulnerability for a moment. Embracing your flaws means being vulnerable, and that can feel scary. It's like standing in front of the world and saying, "This is me, take it or leave it." But vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. When you own your imperfections, you give others permission to do the same. You create a space where people can be real, where they don't have to pretend to be something they're not. Have you ever noticed how much closer you feel to someone when they share something raw and honest? That's the magic of imperfection at work. Now let's get personal. Think about something you consider a flaw. Maybe it's a physical trait, like a scar or a feature you've never loved. Maybe it's something deeper, like a fear of failure or a tendency to procrastinate. Whatever it is, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, what has this flaw taught me? How has it shaped who I am today? For example, maybe your tendency to overthink has made you more empathetic because you understand how it feels to wrestle with doubt. Or maybe that scar on your face tells a story of resilience, a reminder of a time you overcame something tough. Let's look at some real-world examples. Think about the people we admire most, whether it's a celebrity, an artist, or someone in your own life. Chances are they're not perfect. In fact, it's often their imperfections that make them so compelling. Take Vincent van Gogh, for instance. His paintings are celebrated for their raw emotion and bold, imperfect strokes. He struggled with mental health and never achieved fame in his lifetime. Yet his work resonates with millions today because it's so deeply human. Or consider someone like Oprah Winfrey, who's been open about her struggles with poverty, abuse, and self-doubt. Her imperfections didn't hold her back. They fueled her drive to connect with others and build an empire of compassion. So how do we start embracing our flaws? It's not about pretending they don't exist or slapping a fake smile on everything. It's about shifting our perspective. Here's a practical step. Start small. The next time you catch yourself being critical about a flaw, pause and reframe it. Instead of saying, "I'm so clumsy," try,
I'm someone who's always ready for an adventure, even if it means tripping along the way. It sounds simple, but this kind of self-talk can rewire how you see yourself over time. Another way to embrace imperfection is to practice self-compassion. Treat yourself the way you'd treat a close friend. If your friend made a mistake, you wouldn't berate them. You'd offer kindness, maybe a laugh, and some encouragement. Do the same for yourself. When you mess up, remind yourself that mistakes are part of being human. They're not a sign that you're failing. They're proof that you're trying. Let's talk about relationships for a moment. Imperfection is the glue that binds us to others. When we let people see our flaws, we build trust. Think about the friendships that mean the most to you. They're probably the ones where you can be your messy, authentic self, where you can admit you're struggling or share a goofy mistake without fear of judgment. Those connections thrive because of imperfection, not in spite of it. Now, I want to touch on something cultural, the Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi is all about finding beauty in the imperfect, the impermanent, and the incomplete. It's why a cracked teacup, repaired with gold, is seen as more beautiful than a flawless one. The cracks tell a story. They show the cup has been used, loved, and lived with. In the same way, our flaws tell our story. They show we've lived, taken risks, and grown. What if we started seeing ourselves like that cracked teacup? Beautiful, not despite our imperfections, but because of them. Let's also consider the role of failure. Failure is one of those things we're taught to fear, but it's often our greatest teacher. Every time you fail, you learn something new. Maybe you tried starting a business and it didn't take off, or you put yourself out there in a relationship and got hurt. Those moments might feel like flaws in your story, but they're also the moments that build your resilience, your wisdom, and your courage. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who embrace their failures and keep going. Here's a little exercise you can try. Write a letter to your younger self. Think about a time when you felt deeply imperfect, when you were struggling with something about yourself. What would you say to that version of you? Maybe you tell them that their sensitivity is a gift, that their mistakes don't define them, or that their quirks are what make them unforgettable. This exercise can help you see how far you've come and remind you that your imperfections have always been part of your journey. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Embracing your flaws doesn't mean you stop growing. It's not about settling or giving up on self-improvement. It's about loving yourself as you are right now, while still being open to growth. It's about recognizing that you are enough, flaws and all. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy of love, success, or happiness. You just need to be you. So the next time you catch yourself fixating on a flaw, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is part of my story. This is what makes me human. This is what makes me beautiful. Let's celebrate the beauty of imperfection together, because in our flaws, we find our humanity, our strength, and our connection to one another. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope this reflection has inspired you to look at yourself with a little more kindness and a lot more love. Until next time, keep embracing your perfectly imperfect self.